Good morning, YouTube viewers and subscribers. So today on my table I've got my Red Cat Shockwave buggy, and for the first time in 30 years of running cars or airplanes and engines, I actually think I've had my first catastrophic failure. So yesterday I was out just running this thing around, and I would say this thing has maybe had 20 tanks of fuel through it. Now, many of the tanks of fuel I was running in it, I had been just running some Morgan's MV 4-stroke fuel, which is a 15% nitro. It's about a 14% pure synthetic oil content, I believe. I'm not quoting from the website, but I just had that fuel. I was wanting to run it out. So probably about 6 or 7 tanks of that were what has been run through this thing. So yesterday, for the first time, I was running it, and it actually ate the very first glow plug that it had. So I replaced that real quick with another glow plug from a buggy that I had many years ago. It was new in package. They're McCoy MC59 plugs, and within about 30 seconds, or well, I won't say that, about a minute and a half of that plug blew because I needed to do some retuning of this engine. So I put the second one of those MC59s in this engine and was running it around trying to get it retuned for that plug, because apparently it was a very different heat range plug. And all of a sudden I hear a sound, excessive RPM, no movement, bad things. So I'm going to try and show you what I see here as the catastrophic failure before I tear this thing apart. Now if you look, see here the clutch bell? That never is a good thing when your clutch bell completely separates like that. So it looks like the crankshaft is gone on this engine. So I'm going to pull this engine real quick and we'll get to the bottom of this. Okay, so I got the engine off, and as suspected, the crankshaft just sheared right off for whatever reason. I don't know if this is a known weak point of these engines, if this is pretty commonplace, I don't know. The bearing in this clutch bell is nice, still good. Teeth are still in good shape. I mean, this engine really only had, like I said, maybe 20 tanks of fuel through it, and I experienced something like that. And the only thing that I really did differently was I put a different glow plug in it. I just think that that was just an inferior crankshaft, because I didn't hit a bump, I wasn't jumping, I wasn't doing anything violent with this engine. It was, I just put a new glow plug in and was retuning it and running it around the street, trying to get the tuning right, and all of a sudden I hear and then it's just a higher pitched RPM and no movement. So I immediately pulled it, went and grabbed it, closed off the exhaust to kill the engine, and looked on its side, and I saw this thing flip, and I was like, oh, that crankshaft is gone for sure. So there you go. The thing is, I don't really know. I think this is a Chinese-made engine. It doesn't really say. It's pretty dirty. I need to go clean it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a complete teardown of this thing. I think here you can see it says VX18 on it. Whether that's a Vertex engine, I don't know. I did find basically the same type of engine on eBay for $65 from Hong Kong that I went ahead and purchased, because I think it said it was an SH18 engine, even though the images looked similar to this. It doesn't have the same casting, same logo, so maybe it's a little bit better engine. I don't know. It says it's not made in China either, but I also don't see those words anywhere on this engine either. Like I said, at some point here very soon I'm going to completely open this engine up, and well, I got to take this electric starter backplate off anyway, and I'll just tear it down and do an inside look on this to see what an engine that's got, maybe 20 tanks of fuel through it looks like. I mean, it should look damn near brand new. I was thinking that if something was going to fail, it'd be a connecting rod, but like I said, I've never had a failure like this. I'm sure many people have, but I've never just seen a crankshaft snap like that. Like I said, I wasn't running it, I wasn't doing jumps, I wasn't hitting things. It was just running, and all of a sudden it just snapped, apparently. So anyway, that's what we have here with this. Okay, so here's this is a VX16 engine. I thought it was an 18 that I just talked about, that the crank decided to become two pieces again. So I'm going to go ahead and tear this engine down real quick, do an inspection of what an engine that looks like it's only had about 20 fuel tanks through it looks like, just for the hell of it. And I need to get my electric backplate starter off of it anyway, since that'll be going on the next engine. Now I had to Loctite these screws because they have a tendency to work loose. It's pretty weak Loctite, but it's enough apparently to hold them in place. They're still a little stiff, so that's a good thing. Look at that thing. Still looks brand spanking new, except for the crankshaft. Okay, so it appears I'm going to need some heat to get that sleeve out. Oh, no, maybe not. There we go. There you have it. So it's funny, because on the Red Cat website, I was looking for replacement parts for this engine, and I found replacement parts. The Red Cat website wants $74 frickin' for a replacement crankshaft when I can buy a whole new damn engine for $65. Does that make any sense at all? So obviously what I decided to do was buy another cheap-ass $65 engine, because chances are every one of these other parts is fine. Obviously this is a matched set, but I'll have a spare matched set that still has really good pinch, and there's no signs of plating missing. So I mean, this engine is in good shape with the exception of this dumbass crankshaft, and I'm really kind of confused as to how that happens exactly. It's not like that's the hottest part of the engine either. So I don't know, maybe that's just a metallurgical problem. But there you have the now inside look of this VX16 engine because of catastrophic engine failure. Let me get these parts in frame here. So now I can just toss these things in a bag and wait for my replacement engine to arrive, and we'll have this buggy going again.